This is the Nikon 24-200 and it's been my primary telephoto lens for the past year for my landscape photography. And today I want to dive in and give my full one-year review of this lens. So let's jump right in and talk about it. What's up y'all, it's Project Photography back with another video, and today before we get started, make sure to follow all of my socials down in the description bar below. But this lens, the 24-200, has been a lens that I've been using for the past year. And a lot of my opinions have changed, and I really want to dive deep and talk about it. But I'm not going to be talking about any technical specs or features. That's what you can find up here in this video. I just want to talk about my full experience using this lens over the past year. So with that being said, we're going to talk about things like the weight, the focal length, the image quality, some miscellaneous stuff here and there, as well as the conclusion. But let's jump right in and talk about the weight. So the lightweightness of this lens has been a major selling point for me and a reason why I picked up this lens. That's why I would use this over something like a 70-200 or even a 100-400. Because when I'm hiking up, mountains and I'm hiking up these long trails, I want to make sure that I'm limiting the amount of weight I had. And this has really been a big factor on a last trip to Mount Rainier, which you can find the video up here somewhere. But that hike was about 4 miles, nothing crazy, but it was an extremely steep hike in some very treacherous conditions. And I think if I was bringing something like a 70-200, I would definitely get fatigued a lot faster because that's like double the weight of this lens right here. And I think just it being really lightweight has helped me to experience the world more. Right? If we're bringing stuff that's really heavy and weighing us down constantly, it's really hard to be energetic and excited and, enjoy the process of actually shooting photography when it's just weighing you down all the time. And like I said, the lightweightness is a major reason why I picked up this lens in the first place. And I can confidently say that that's honestly the biggest reason that I think anyone should pick up a lens like this, because there is no lightweight telephoto lenses in the Nikon Z mirrorless system. It's just this. So let's go ahead and talk about the focal length. I mean, the biggest question I had was, is 200mm on the long end going to be enough? And honestly, up to this point, there have been times where I have missed having 300mm, but it really isn't as often as you think. It's maybe like 1 to 5% of the time that I've actually been like, oh, I really needed a 300mm lens. But when I've been shooting with this lens, I've actually been shooting a lot between the probably I want to say 50 to 150 range. It's rare that I actually go to 200mm. I think it's mainly because my style photography, how I shoot, I really don't punch in a lot. I like to get a nice tight composition, but I'm not going all the way to 200mm all the time. But I think for 95% of images for my telephoto side of things, this has been more than enough. And especially having that 24-200 range in there has been really helpful because it's just expanded the amount of compositions I can grab and really enabled me to grab exactly what I needed to. And this has been a really big help when capturing panoramas in particular, because when I'm shooting panoramas, I can get very particular with what focal length I'm using. And because we just have so many options with this lens, it's been such a huge help in grabbing those. And obviously it varies per location, what type of focal length I want to use, but I'm mainly using this to capture mountains in particular. And on this last trip to Mount Rainier, you were seeing a lot of mountain ranges. And even then I was barely even going past 150. And I was still able to grab the exact shots I need. And for me, I feel like the 24-70 range is much more beneficial than being able to have a 300mm lens like a 70-300 would give me. So I don't know, I've really enjoyed actually the 24-200 range. I feel like just being able to capture just so many different compositions. But something that's really weird that the 24mm has helped me with is the fact that I don't have to pull out my wide angle lens or see if a wide angle composition makes sense, because sometimes I just need to know, okay, is a telephoto image or more of a wide angle makes sense, because sometimes I'm in between and I don't know what to choose. So just being able to see what a wide angle field of view looks like with the 24-200 is actually really helpful. And of course, if I'm gonna be shooting a 24mm, I'm definitely gonna go back to my 14-30 because it is an S-line lens. This is not. So, there's just some trade-offs there, but it's actually been really convenient, oddly enough. So now let's jump right into image quality. And for me, this lens has been really, really good. Now, I know this is not an S-line lens, but it doesn't need to be. Because for me, I've been able to capture all the images I want with crisp, clean quality, nice contrast. There is some vignetting at 6.3, and it's pretty apparent when I'm shooting panoramas, these weird, dark lines come out, and I realize that that's because of the vignetting. but I'll have to go to f8 for that, of course. Other than that, there really hasn't been any issues when it's come to the actual image quality. I really love that it's so sharp corner to corner, and we just get incredible colors and incredible contrast and feel look of this image that a typical Nikon Z lens would get, and all of them are absolutely incredible, and this lens does not skimp out on quality. The only complaint I have is just I wish the aperture was more like a 4 to like a 5.6. I feel like 6.3 is a little bit dark, and that means when I am shooting panoramas that I really have to bump it up to like f8 aperture, versus before I could probably get away with like a 6.3 or a 7.1 if I was having a lens that had a 5.6 aperture. But other than that, I really don't have many complaints about this when it comes to image quality. I have to talk about one thing in the miscellaneous part of this video. I don't know if you guys have this problem with this lens, but I've noticed that this front ring here on the lens itself is like slightly loose and like kind of separating a bit from the element itself. I don't know what's going on here. I'm not sure if you guys have had this problem, but I have used this lens for quite a while. I will say that I did buy it used, but I definitely don't remember this being an issue. So that's just definitely something to note. I have been using it for over a year now. So, you know, lenses do get wear and tear and so forth. And this isn't necessarily the best build quality in a lens that I've used, but it's really odd, and I just wanted to let you guys know about this because this is a long-term review and I don't want to skimp out on anything when it comes to this lens. But in conclusion, I have really enjoyed using this 24-200 as my telephoto lens for my landscape photography. It really has helped me capture all the images that I want without skimping out on image quality at all. And if a 7300 came out in the near future, I can't see myself picking up a 7300 and replacing this 24-200. First of all, I just feel like there's not much of a need for 300 millimeters, and I've grown so accustomed with using this lens and the lightweightness of it. I really don't want to trade off anything for it. I really feel satisfied, and I'm able to capture all the images that I want to capture. And for the price point, it's actually really good. You can easily find them for like $700 used on eBay. And right now, this is the best telephoto lens for landscape photography, hands down. I mean, for the Z mount at least. I mean, there's just no lens that has the complete package like this does. Of course, the 100-400, you might be able to get different, longer images. And the 70-200 might be perfect for things like astro. But for like 95% of photographers out there, you don't need to be spending the $2,000 to get the 70-200 or the 100-400. The 24-200 is the lens that is perfect for you. This is a lens that I use on a daily basis when I'm out going and shooting landscape photography. And if you are in the market for a 24-200, this might be it. This lens will stay in my bag for the foreseeable future. I can't see any other lens coming out that would replace this. And honestly, at this point, I'm just gonna go out and just enjoy this lens and experience the world with it. There's no need to keep looking for other pieces of gear to replace a lens like this if I'm already really content. So anyways, guys, let me know what you guys think about the 24-200, and if you're interested in buying one, check out the link in the description bar below. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for experiencing the world with me today. Please feel free to rate, comment, subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.